Welcome to another deep dive brought to you by the Bracket Banter team at sportsbrackets.net. I mean, imagine pouring millions of dollars and years of meticulous training into a single breathtakingly fast athlete,
Right.
only to have your chances of winning just mathematically destroyed by a blind ping pong ball.
Oh, it's brutal. It really is.
It's insane. And that is the 39-year nightmare currently facing the morning line favorite at the 152nd Kentucky Derby.
Yeah, we are officially staring down the barrel of the greatest 2 minutes in sports.
Exactly. Happening this Saturday, May 2, 2026, you've got a massive $5 million purse on the line, the first leg of the Triple Crown, 20 elite thoroughbreds, and a weather forecast that is threatening to just turn the entire event upside down.
It is a spectacularly complex puzzle this year. I mean, you aren't just evaluating the sheer speed of these animals, You're evaluating weather models, track geometry, and honestly, betting psychology.
Yeah, the psychology is huge.
To really give you an edge, we are synthesizing a massive stack of fresh materials today. We've got the latest schedules, the odds trackers, and, some quick housekeeping.
Right, the new hub.
Yeah, the new resource hub over at sportsbrackets.net. They've got free PDF betting downloads and party tools that we'll talk about. Plus, we are pulling heavily from the elite betting analysis of CBS Sports, specifically Jody Demling and the New York Post.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting directly with that multi-million-dollar nightmare I just mentioned. On paper, a horse named Renegade is the undisputed king of this field.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, he won the Arkansas Derby, he won the Sam F. Davis Stakes, he is trained by Todd Pletcher, who is, arguably the most experienced trainer in Derby history.
He's a legend.
Yeah, and he's owned by Micropole. He is hovering around 4-1 or 9-2 odds. But then the post-position draw happened, and the air just completely left the room for his backers. He drew post-1.
The dreaded inside rail.
It's bad, right?
It's historically bad. To put the severity of that draw into context for you, no horse has won the Kentucky Derby from the inside rail since Ferdinand did it in 1986.
Wow.
Yeah, that is nearly 4 decades of failure from that specific starting gate.
I was trying to visualize what that actually feels like for the horse. It seems like drawing post-1 in a 20-horse field is like trying to run a marathon, but you have to start the race locked inside a phone booth while everyone else just gets a wide-open lane.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize the geometry of it, honestly. When those starting gates crash open, you have 19 other thoroughbreds, and they each weigh around 1,200 pounds, right?
Right, massive animals.
Massive. And their natural instinct, guided by their jockeys, is to immediately angle toward the inside rail to save ground on that first turn.
Just a huge crush of bodies.
Exactly. It creates a massive, crushing funnel effect. If Renegade is in post 1, he is sitting at the absolute bottom tip of that funnel.
But his owner, Mike Rapole, immediately took to social media to do some damage control. He tweeted that he is actually perfectly happy with the draw because Renegade possesses an, quote, explosive late kick.
Well, sure, you have to say that.
Right. The argument is that he'd rather be on the inside saving distance than stuck way out in the parking lot at post 20. But, I mean, a late kick requires daylight. How in the world does his jockey, Irad Ortiz Jr., find daylight when he has a wall of bone and muscle in front of him?
He likely doesn't. And that is exactly why CBS Sports expert Jody Demling is completely fading Renegade.
Wow, just throwing the favorite out.
Yep. Demling is a handicapping legend. I mean, he has hit the Oaks Derby double 12 times, and last year he predicted the top 3 finishers in exact order for a massive superfecta payout.
Okay, so he knows what he's talking about.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Demling is projecting that Renegade will barely even crack the top 10 because beyond the physical crush of the rail, you have to account for the kickback.
The mud and dirt.
Yeah. A horse trapped on the rail behind the leaders is going to take literal pounds of wet dirt flying directly into his face at 40 miles per hour.
That has to be psychologically jarring for a young horse.
It absolutely breaks their rhythm. Furthermore, Demling points out some serious resume flaws. I mean, it took Renegade 4 tries just to win his very first maiden race.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So when you synthesize the historical curse of the rail, the physical reality of the kickback, and those early career struggles, the data screams that accepting short 4-1 odds on this horse is just a terrible investment.
Okay, so if the favorite is mathematically compromised by his starting position, we have to look at who benefits from that vulnerability.
Right.
The odds makers are pointing us directly at a tight cluster of elite talent right behind him. We have a trio of powerhouse horses trained by Brad Cox, and the margins between them are razor thin.
You have Commandment and Further Ado, both sitting exactly at 6-1 odds.
And their resumes are incredibly compelling, but they win in entirely different ways. Commandment is coming off a hard-fought win at the Florida Derby. Is he the most consistent horse in the field?
He's certainly up there. He's an aggressive, inside brawler who just grinds out a decision.
Yeah, whereas Further Ado just dominated the Bluegrass Stakes. I mean, he won by an emphatic 11 lengths, barely broke a sweat, and he's got a three-time Derby-winning jockey, John Velazquez, in the saddle.
But Further Ado is starting way out in post-18.
Right. They feel less like racehorses and more like matching up different styles of prize fighters. Like Commandment is the brawler, and Further Ado is your elegant outboxer who dances around the ring untouched.
What's fascinating here is the core concept of betting value. Handicapping the Kentucky Derby isn't simply an exercise in picking the fastest horse in vacuum. It is an exercise in game theory.
Oh, I like that. Game theory.
Yeah. The morning line odds are telling us that Commandment and Further Ado are elite. But trying to predict a winner between two wildly different running styles in a 20-horse field is essentially a coin flip.
Sure.
Mathematical probability dictates that if the outcome is that unpredictable, you should not be accepting a meager 6-1 payout.
Okay, let me challenge that logic for a second. If we are acknowledging that 20 horses crashing into the first turn is pure chaos, shouldn't you want to back the most consistent, proven winners in the field, even at lower odds? Like, why abandon the best horses just because the math isn't highly lucrative?
Because the history of the race punishes that exact mindset.
Really?
Yeah. Even with last year being a fairly predictable outcome, the average odds of the last 7 Kentucky Derby winners sits at just under 30-1.
Wait, the average is 31.
The betting public consistently overestimates the safety of the favorites and just drastically underestimates the sheer unbridled chaos of a crowded track.
Which brings a horse like Chief Wallaby into the conversation at 8-1.
Yes.
He is a homebred trained by Bill Mott, and his entire racing style is built to capitalize on that exact chaos, right?
Exactly. If Commandment and Further Ado get into a blistering speed duel early on and exhaust each other, Chief Wallaby is the kind of closer who thrives on a pace meltdown.
Okay, so you are looking for horses whose tactical style matches the projected flow of the race.
Right. But to find the truly massive payouts, you have to dig even deeper into the public's blind spots.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, because we have some absolute history makers lurking in the depths of the odds board. Let's look at Emerging Market at 15-1.
Oh, this is a fun one.
He is trained by Chad Brown, who is currently 0 for 9 at the Derby. But the truly wild statistic is the horse himself. Emerging Market has only run 2 career races.
That's just wild.
If he crosses the finish line first on Saturday, he will be the first horse to win the Kentucky Derby with only 2 prior starts since 1883.
Over 140 years of racing history tells you that what this horse is attempting is virtually impossible.
Right. But practically speaking, can a horse with only 2 real-world races physically handle a 1.25-mile dogfight? Doesn't cardiovascular stamina and mental maturity take significant time to build?
Usually, yes.
So isn't backing him just throwing money away on a cool storyline?
See, that skepticism you are feeling right now,
Yeah.
that is exactly why his odds are sitting at a juicy 15-1.
Oh, okay.
The New York Post piece lays out the psychology here beautifully. Emerging Market's win at the Louisiana Derby was visually stunning. I mean, he chased down and defeated proven, battle-tested Derby qualifiers.
So the talent is undeniably there.
Yes, but the betting public is terrified of a shallow data pool. Bettors like horses with 7 or 8 races on their resume so they can perfectly map out their speed figures.
Right, they want certainty.
Exactly. When a horse is an unknown quantity, the public backs away in fear, which artificially inflates the odds.
So you are basically getting a massive discount on a highly talented athlete simply because the public is afraid of the unknown.
You got it.
And that fear factor completely alters the math. Because if the public is actively running away from Emerging Market, they are doing the exact same thing to another Brad Cox horse Full Effort at 20-1.
Oh, man. Full Effort is the ultimate wild card, especially when you factor in the weather forecast.
Right, the Mutter Report. We have a 90% chance of heavy rain in Louisville this Saturday.
It's going to be a mess.
How does that fundamentally change the race for a horse like Full Effort, who spent his entire 2-year-old season running on grass and then won the Jeff Ruby Stakes on a Tapeta synthetic track?
This raises an incredibly important question about track mechanics. Wait, before we dive into Full Effort, we need to explain what actually happens to Churchill Downs when it rains.
Yeah, please do.
You will hear the term sealed track thrown around constantly on the broadcast. When a dirt track is dry and fast, the surface is deep and relatively loose. The horse's hooves sink in a bit, requiring a specific type of muscular exertion,
Like running on a dry beach?
basically. But when heavy rain is coming, the track superintendents bring out heavy machinery to literally pack the dirt down as tightly as possible.
So they are trying to create a smooth, hard surface so the water runs off the top, rather than turning the whole track into a giant, deep bowl of soup.
Precisely. But by packing it down so aggressively, the surface loses that deep cushion. It becomes significantly firmer. And this completely changes the biomechanics of how a horse runs.
Interesting.
A sealed, wet dirt track actually begins to mimic the firmness and the bounce of a synthetic tapetum track, or even a firm turf course.
Oh, wow. Which suddenly turns Fulford into the Mud King.
Exactly.
He is a turf and synthetic specialist who suddenly gets to run on a dirt track that feels exactly like a synthetic track. That is an incredible tactical advantage sitting all the way down at 2001.
It is a massive hidden advantage. And he isn't the only one who benefits. You also have to look at right to party at an astronomical 30-1.
Right to party, okay.
Yeah, he is the only American starter in this entire 20-horse field who has actual documented racing experience on a wet, sloppy track.
Wait, the only one?
The only one.
Wow.
While the rest of the field is panicking as mud hits them in the face for the very first time, Right to Party is completely in his element.
That is wild. Okay, what about the absolute basement of the odds board? I'm looking at Intrepido sitting at 50-1. The morning clockers reported that he just threw down a blistering 57-second 5-furlong workout at Churchill Downs.
It was a beautiful run.
On paper, that is eye-popping historic speed. Why is a horse that fast sitting at 50-1?
Intrepido is a fascinating case study in how morning workouts can deceive the casual bettor. Yes, a 57-second sprint is magnificent, but sprinting alone against the clock in the quiet of the morning requires raw, fast-twitch muscle fiber.
All right, it's just a sprint. Exactly. The Kentucky Derby requires massive cardiovascular endurance and the mental toughness to get bumped, blocked, and hit with mud over a grueling 1.25 miles. Intrepido has the raw speed, but the odds makers are betting heavily against his stamina holding up in the final furlong.
Makes total sense. Then you have the geometric anomalies of the race.
Yeah.
Look at Wonderdine at 30-1, sitting out in post 10. Statistically, post 10 has produced an incredibly high rate of Derby winners compared to the rest of the gates. Is that just a statistical quirk? Or is there a physical advantage to starting dead in the middle?
It's pure geometry. We talked about the funnel effect crushing post 1. When you start in the middle at post 10, your jockey is granted the ultimate luxury tactical flexibility.
Okay.
If Wonderdine breaks fast, his jockey can angle inside without getting immediately crushed against the rail. If he breaks slowly, the jockey can easily shift outside into clear air.
Post 10 allows you to dictate your own race, whereas post 1 or post 20 dictate your strategy for you.
You nailed it. Okay, let's talk tactics for a second. We've thrown a ton of variables on the table: the rail curse, the weather, the pace meltdowns. How do you actually structure a bet to capitalize on all of this chaos without going bankrupt?
Yeah, you have to be smart about it.
Our sources highlight a fantastic suite of free tools over at the Sports Brackets Hub designed specifically for this.
They've built an incredibly robust ecosystem for Saturday.
They really have. First, they offer a free, low-ink printable betting sheet. You print it out, and it lets you track the live odds as they shift, because those morning line odds we've been discussing, they will absolutely fluctuate as the millions of dollars pour into the betting pools on Saturday afternoon.
Oh, they'll change drastically.
But more importantly, the sheet helps you organize your exotic wagers.
Right. If you are building an exotic bet on a wet track, your structure has to change completely. A trifecta, for example, requires you to pick the top 3 finishers.
Okay.
On a dry, predictable day, you might play it straight, meaning you pick one specific horse for first, one for second, and one for third.
But in a 20-horse field with a 90% chance of rain, playing it straight is just financial suicide.
Exactly. You want to box your bets. Boxing them covers multiple chaotic combinations. If you box 3 horses, you are paying for 6 different combinations. As long as your 3 horses cross the line first, second, and third, regardless of the exact order, you cash the ticket.
Oh, I see. So if you were building a sloppy track trifecta, you might take a proven mutter like Right to Party, box him with a synthetic specialist like Fulliford, and throw in a consistent closer like Chief Wallaby, who can pick up the pieces when the leaders get tired.
That's a very sharp play.
You pay a little more upfront for the ticket, but you dramatically widen your safety net.
It is the smartest way to leverage the chaos rather than trying to predict it perfectly.
But look, let's be real here. Not everyone listening wants to build a sophisticated betting matrix. Some of us just want to put on a seersucker suit, pour a mint julep, and yell at the television screen with our friends. We've all been to those derby parties where half the room doesn't know a furlong from a fetlock.
And that is a perfectly valid, time-honored way to experience the event. The cultural pageantry is just as vital as the race itself.
Totally. For the casual viewers, Sports Brackets has generated these free, randomized bingo cards. And they aren't just generic horse racing squares. They are specifically tailored to the 2026 broadcast ecosystem.
I love those.
Right. You have squares for spotting the famous twin spires in the background. You have squares for spotting broadcasters like Mike Tirico or hearing Larry Kalmus make a specific vocal call.
Oh, and the sing-along.
And of course, the inevitable tear-jerking crowd sing-along of My Old Kentucky Home. It keeps the entire room engaged during the hours of broadcast leading up to the 2-minute race.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really highlights how the Kentucky Derby is bridging the gap between its 19th century traditions and modern technology.
That is a great point because the tech world is aggressively getting involved in the action. For the crypto-curious listeners, our sources detail the Brackets Alpha raffle.
Ah, yes. The Solana project.
Yeah, it's built on a Solana blockchain. You can buy tickets using their native token, and they are launching a World Cup fantasy game that offers play-to-earn USDC prizes. They're literally taking the oldest parimutuel betting sport in America and merging it directly with decentralized finance.
It is a fascinating evolution of how we interact with sports data in wagering.
So what does this all mean for you as you sit down to watch the 150-second run for the Roses? To recap, we are looking at a race defined by tension and vulnerability.
Absolutely.
You have the devastating 39-year rail curse actively haunting the favorite, Renegade, and his jockey, Erod Ortiz Jr. You have the looming threat of a sealed, muddy track that could completely neutralize the aggressive speed of the Brad Cox trio.
Don't forget the long shots.
Right, and you have absolute mystery doxes like Emerging Market trying to snap a streak dating all the way back to 1883, alongside synthetic specialists like Fullifert waiting to capitalize on the sloppy conditions.
My final prediction. The core takeaway is to embrace the unknown. The public is going to blindly back the favorites because they are terrified of the lack of data on horses like Emerging Market, and they're terrified of the weather.
Yeah, that fear is real.
Use that fear to your advantage. Find the horses whose physical traits match the environment, whether that is a middle starting gate like post 10 or a biomechanical advantage on a sealed track.
Don't let the crowd dictate your strategy. I want to leave you with one final thought, though. Something to deeply mull over while you're holding your drink and watching those horses load into the starting gates this Saturday.
What's that?
Well, we spent all this time analyzing the biomechanics of dirt versus synthetic tracks. We dissect the breeding genetics, we study the 57-second morning workout, and we track the millions of dollars these owners pour into training regimens. We treat it like a perfectly solvable math equation.
We do, yeah. But the reality of the sport is far less pristine.
Exactly. When that bell rings and 20 massive 1,000-pound animals all surge forward simultaneously into a narrow funnel, the preparation is over.
It's pure chaos.
Right. How much of a horse's ultimate success and an owner's multi-million-dollar investment comes down to pure, unquantifiable, dumb luck in those crucial, terrifying first 10 seconds.
Wow, yeah. A single bad step, a splash of mud to the eye, or a slight bump from a rival can erase 2 years of perfect science.
The training is a spreadsheet. But navigating that first turn, that's art and a little bit of magic. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into the 2026 Kentucky Derby. Enjoy the race.